value? Remember, value is the lightness or darkness of a color, okay? So let's remind ourselves, it is the lightness or darkness of a color. Okay, it could be any color. In this case, we're working with variations of gray because we're using a pencil as our medium, okay? So our goal with this handout is to create 5 distinctly different values, meaning when I look at the page, I can clearly see 5 different values. If 2 of them look the same, I will dock a mark, okay? So although it seems like a very silly, simplistic exercise, it's actually quite challenging because you'll run into parts where you're like, I can't make these 2 look different because I've run out of options, okay? So our goal is to start really, really light and gradually get the shade darker, okay? First technique we're going to be working with is smudging. So you're gonna be applying a little bit of pencil, but when we smudge it, we want it to be so smooth that we can't see any pencil lines. So the trick to doing this is when you're applying your pencil on the paper, again, you're not going to use the very tip of your pencil, you're going to almost like angle your pencil a little bit. So when you're putting pencil down, it's on the side. So it's going to give you a very soft line. In the first box, okay, sometimes if you want to dull down your pencil a little bit off to the side, it's not a bad idea. So it's very, very, very sharp. You could just try to wear it down a little bit, okay? And then that way when you make a line with it, it's a little bit softer because you've worn it down a little bit, okay? That's why I said mechanical pencils, they're going to give you very, very sharp point. You want your point worn down just a tad. Okay, almost like angled, okay? So in this box here, we're gonna go super light, like barely touching the paper. We're going to try to just add a teeny bit of pencil to the paper. Teeny tiny bit. We can always go darker, but we can't go lighter, okay? And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your stump. Some of you guys have this one here that's a little bit shorter and thicker. Some of you have a nice long thin one with a smaller tip. Either way, what you're doing is you're going to be using the edge of this. See that? The edge of it, not the tip. You're using the edge of your stomp, or in this case, the edge here. Okay? You're never pushing the stomp down here. If it gets dirty, the tip starts looking like this, and that's fine, okay? So you're going to go ahead and use the edge of your stomp. And you're going to kind of replace your finger, and you want to kind of just smooth out the pencil that you put down. And you want to neatly fill the space with an equal shade of kind of a super pale silver gray. So try to make a gray, try to make the lightest gray you could possibly create using your pencil. You want to blend it until you don't see any lines left. Okay, now we're going to go to the next box. We're going to try to get it a step up. We want to stay with a light gray, but we want it to be just a touch darker. Okay, so I'm going to apply pencil really lightly, kind of angling my pencil to get a really soft line. This time I'm just going to layer a little bit more pencil than I did before. I'm not pushing hard because I don't want any lines to be left behind. If you can't tell if it's hard to tell if there's a difference between the two, I often recommend squinting your eyes. Kind of get your eyelashes in the way. That way they're not focused on any large details and they kind of just pick up the shade. So if I kind of squint at mine, I can see that there is a difference between these two. Okay, I'm going to go to my next box. I'm going to try to create a step up. This time I'm adding a tiny bit more pressure to the pencil. And I'm just making sure that a little bit more pencil comes onto the page. Again, I'm doing it in a fashion that's really gentle so that I'm not scratching any lines into my paper, okay? And now, again, with the edge of my stomp, I'm gonna blend it in. If by the time you're in your third box, and after blending it, it looks too much like the second one, you can always go and layer more pencil on top. But the goal is to create a third value. I'm working really quickly, guys, because I'm videotaping this and I can't have any of my videos run longer than 15 minutes. But you should take your time with it. Again, you have all of tomorrow to finish this sheet too. It's not due today. So just do a couple of boxes so that you at least know what blending is, but you can always work on finishing this tomorrow and taking your time with it. Okay, so now that I've got my third box, I'm gonna squint at my paper. I can see 3 different values. Now my goal is to come up with 2 more that look different from these. Okay, so in this one here, I'm gonna just, to make sure that I get it darker, what I'll do is I'll do what I did in the last box. I'll put down quite a bit of graphite or lead, okay? And then I'm gonna go over it another time. I'm gonna do another layer. See that? So I'm putting down twice the amount of lead from my pencil. And now I'm gonna go in and blend it out and see what I get here. Okay, and as I'm blending it, I'm kind of squinting at it, and I think that I have achieved a pretty good value here because it does look different than the one that in the box before. I'm gonna add just a little bit more to the edge here to make sure that it's a consistent shade throughout the entire box. Okay, again, I'm going to post videos of this online, so there's no need for you to rush and finish it right now. And then the last one, I am going to give it like 3 layers of pencil. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, and if I blend this out, let's see what I get. After you finish, again, blending that area, if you feel like it's still too light or whatnot, you can always add more pencil on top and then go back and blend it in with the stomp again. Okay, so again, I feel like my edges are a little bit light here, so after I've blended it, I can always go back and perfect it. I'm just recording, that's 2 seconds. Okay. So again, if you're working on this at home, what I want you to do is when you finish your row, I want you to step back and I want you to squint at it and I want you to feel like pretty good about the fact that you can see 5 distinctly different values. If any of them look too much, these are commonly tricky ones. Either these 2 will look too much the same or these 2. If these 2 look too much the same, then add another layer to this one to darken it. Like you can always go back and tweak them. Okay. You can always go darker on this one and then a little darker on this one and then a little darker on this one. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give you a completion point for actually completing 5 various values of gray or achieving 5 various values of gray using the blending technique. So nice and smooth, nice and soft. I don't see any sharp pencil lines anymore. It's nice and consistent. Okay. If I give you a stomp, do not lose it. You need to stomp again as we move through this week and next week. So take care of your stomp. Make sure it's in a pencil case in a safe spot, okay? So I'm going to move over and do hatching next. Again, you take your time with this. You can work on it tomorrow as well.